Americans for Fair Taxation presents the Weekly Chairman's Report, written by Steve Hayes, president of Americans for Fair Taxation, and recorded by Bob Paxton, a volunteer with the Florida FAIRtax Educational Association. And now, this week's Chairman's Report.
Hello, I'm Bob Paxton with the AF50 Chairman's Report for Friday, May 10th, 2024. The IRS is using AI to look at your financial information. Artificial intelligence is being hailed as a great tool to make many of our daily activities easier and more productive. Many of us are using it already and have seen how it can simplify things for us. The FBI, CIA, and the National Security Agency are all promoting how AI is making it easier for them to counter criminals and terrorist threats. Now, provided it's done in accordance with the U.S. Constitution, all Americans are in favor of pursuing criminals and terrorists more effectively. However, the IRS is not boasting about its use of AI because they don't follow the law. Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio and Harriet Hageman of Wyoming have opened an inquiry into how the IRS is using AI to snoop into Americans' financial information without a warrant. The following is taken from a letter sent to Janet Yellen, Secretary of the Treasury, by Jordan and Hageman. In September 2023, the Internal Revenue Service announced that it was using AI to help IRS compliance teams better detect tax cheating, identify emerging compliance threats, and improve case selection tools. According to the announcement, the IRS is deploying new resources toward cutting-edge technology to improve our visibility on where the wealthy shield their income and focus staff attention on areas of greatest abuse, including cutting-edge machine learning technology. On February 28, 2024, the Treasury Department publicly acknowledged that it has implemented an enhanced process using AI to mitigate check fraud in near real time by strengthening and expediting processes to recover potentially fraudulent payments from financial institutions. They've been doing that since late 2022. Recent reporting alleges that the IRS's use of AI has also included actively monitoring American citizens' bank accounts en masse and without legal process. Video footage obtained by an investigative media outlet appears to capture Alex Mena, an IRS official working in the agency's Criminal Investigations Unit, admitting that the IRS has a new system that uses AI to target potential abusers by examining all returns, bank statements, and related financial information for potential fraud. Mena asserted that the new AI system has the ability to access and monitor all the information from all the companies in the world. In the video, Mena suggested that AI-powered system can see the amount in every American's bank account, adding that this invasive system is working really well nationwide. Mena also noted that IRS agents have no problem like going after the small people, putting people in prison, like destroying people's lives. They have no problem doing that. When asked whether the new system is constitutional, Mena replied, "I doubt it." In conclusion, there's little doubt that the D.C. elites agree that the IRS can ignore the Fourth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. That amendment states, "The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized." Now, no one disputes that there's a massive gap between the amount of tax that's legally owed and the amount that's actually collected. There's wide agreement that illegal tax evasion costs the government between $700 billion and $1 trillion each year. Now, Congress and the Biden administration are united in their wish that Americans who are evading their income taxes be punished, and they believe that the IRS should aggressively pursue these criminals. Unfortunately, the 20% of taxpayers who are evading their taxes are mixed in with the other 80% who are doing their best to pay their taxes honestly. That's not an easy task given the incomprehensible and ever-changing Internal Revenue Code. Now, since the evaders go to great lengths to appear legitimate, the IRS believes that the only way to catch these criminals is to look at every taxpayer with suspicion and subject everyone to intense scrutiny. Now, apparently the D.C. elites see no problem with the IRS ignoring our constitutional rights and treating everyone like a criminal. They're perfectly fine with using artificial intelligence to analyze everyone's bank account and financial transactions without a warrant or even probable cause to suspect that someone's doing anything wrong. Now, they justify it all by saying things like, Well, if you have nothing to hide, you shouldn't mind. We're just looking for the criminals. You can't possibly be against that. And we're not going to reveal anything about you unless we decide that you're a criminal. To the DC elites, the Constitution is just a piece of paper. If they don't like what it says, they simply ignore it. The only time you'll ever hear them defend it is that they believe that their rights are being violated. Now, the elites sincerely believe that they're smarter than everyone else. They believe that they're accomplishing a greater good by ignoring people's constitutional rights and exerting as much control over our lives as they can. Now, we may not be able to stop them at every turn, but we can strike a major blow against them by passing the FAIRtax. Pass the FAIRtax, and there will be no more tax returns giving government bureaucrats access to our personal financial data. There will be no need for the IRS. We, not the DC elites, will decide how much federal tax we pay by how much we spend on new retail goods and services. The economy and tax revenues will grow much more rapidly. Rates for mortgages, car loans, and credit card loans will quickly go down. All Americans will be more prosperous and confident about their future, and Social Security and Medicare will be fully solvent. No senior will ever have to worry about having their retirement income reduced because of the inability to finance the national debt. The solution? Pass the FAIRtax. Now, why would DC pass the FAIRtax and give up an almost unlimited source of donations? Well, they won't, at least not voluntarily. The only way they will is if the rest of us demand it. Isn't it time to end this ludicrous tax collection system and the IRS along with it? Now, there's going to be a vote on the FAIRtax in the House of Representatives. We now have the opportunity to force all members of the House to show where they stand. They can vote for the present income payroll tax system, or they can vote for the FAIRtax. They can support the corrupt income tax in the IRS, or they can vote to eliminate it. It can't be any simpler than that. They can continue to hide the true cost of their government, or they can pass the FAIRtax and show everyone the true cost of government on every retail receipt. And finally, they can support the largest transfer of power from government to the people, the FAIRtax, or they can vote against it. Now, if members think the FAIRtax needs to be amended to address a problem, then they can propose the change. Don't let them get away with rejecting the entire bill because it has a perceived flaw that can be easily addressed. And don't think for a minute there aren't any flaws in the income tax. Help us bring about real tax reform and stop future IRS abuses. By contributing or investing $10.40 a month, you will help provide a financial base to Americans for fair taxation. If you can make larger contributions/investments, these will be used not for salaries, as we're all volunteers, but for the needed updates to our economic studies, which will be vital for all future years. Please go to fairtax.org to invest in AFFT and help us pass the FAIRtax. It's an investment in your and your family's future.
This has been the Weekly Chairman's Report, written by Steve Hayes, President of Americans for Fair Taxation. Check back every week for news and information about the fair tax, and learn why the fair tax should replace our antiquated federal income tax system. If you'd like to receive a copy of the Chairman's Report in your inbox every week, sign up at fairtax.org.